Hello, Reddit. Long-time lurker and throwaway account. I don't think I'm the best writer, but here we go. To set the scene, I will say my siblings were raised by parents who did not want children. They were also heavily impacted by Dave Ramsey. Essentially, the parents who told you that they owned the house and we were lucky to live there, etc., etc. This led to them being extremely unprepared when my brother started having mental health issues. I don't really want to get into specifics, but it all came crashing down when my sister went to college. He had a major bipolar and schizophrenic breakdown. This led to my parents kicking him out, but eventually letting him move back in. This would turn into a cycle of him getting kicked out and then coming back in. I had night college, so I was mostly home with him alone. Yes, I was scared. I was 19 at the time and couldn't live anywhere else. Looking back, I would have changed 10,000 things. I had begged my parents every time to not let him back. They didn't believe that they should pay for his treatment, though, and they also didn't want to pay for him to live anywhere else. Eventually, I got kicked out of the house because I told them it was me or him. This caused a large divide in the family. My sister was very close to my brother. She didn't know how bad he had gotten, so whenever he would call her, he made it seem like he was getting kicked out because I was complaining about him. I didn't know about this. For the most part, my parents forbade us from talking about how bad my brother was because it would impact their reputation at church. My sister resented me for years because of this, even calling the lady I was staying with and telling her I was ruining the family. 3 years later, I finally finished college. My sister had moved 12 hours away to a new state so that her husband could get a job in his field. At this point, my brother had shown his hand in a way, and my sister saw how much his mental illness impacted him, how out of control he was. We still weren't that close at the time. In a very weird turn of events, I got a call from a recruiter to work in the same state. I actually didn't even know that she was in that state until I called my sister to ask if she knew anyone that lived there. She said she actually owned a property that I could use for a couple of months that was about an hour from the place I needed to go. Living there, we reconnected. She really took the time to apologize to me for how she treated me when my brother was having mental issues. She knew part of the reason I was moving was so he wouldn't be able to show up to where I was living. He was still blaming me for being the reason his life fell apart. Eventually, I had even become a fixation of his when he had mental breakdowns. Luckily, nothing bad happened when I was living close to him, but it very easily could have. I had told her all of this, and she was well aware of this. If you made it this far, thank you. Here's the conclusion. Now it's 3 years later, and my brother was in jail for assaulting my father. I'm not sure how much detail I should put in here, but essentially, it was bad enough that he can no longer legally live with them. Jails do not like to keep mentally unstable people, so he only served 2 months in jail. My sister then blindsided me by saying she wanted to move him out here to this state. I was honestly so shocked I just sat there, and she kept telling me how she'd set up a job for him and a place to stay. She had just had a baby, so I was honestly just super confused. Like he had just been in jail for attack? My sister gets mad very easily, so I just kind of nodded and asked her if she was actually looking for my opinion because it sounded like she already made up her mind even after everything he's done. I brought up she can't protect herself and her baby if he went after them. She said it was fine because she had a gun nearby. I ended up ugly crying home. I just didn't understand why she was trying to do this. Eventually, I messaged her husband taking the time to explain that I would be uncomfortable with the thought of her being alone with my brother, especially with the baby. He has to go on work trips out of state all the time. When he responded, he said, "I think it would be great if everyone could just be a family." I was very shocked by his response. I just stopped texting everyone after that. The next day, I get 20 plus texts from my sister saying everything from how dare I disrespect her. How could I think so little of her? How could I not trust her to make decisions? This was all over text, so I just told her no. I didn't trust her to make this decision because it would put everyone in danger. After that, we stopped texting. She sent a text to me asking if we could meet in person to talk. I said if she needed to say anything, she could text me, and that I was taking a break from her. I found out recently she told my mom that we stopped talking because our childhood was so bad, which annoyed the hell out of me. I've honestly felt a lot better not having her around. I know that sounds bad, but it was always a crisis when I was around her. Also, I've noticed she was still gossiping a ton about me to my mom. I really didn't think my life was interesting enough to gossip about. On the other hand, she really did help me out when I moved out here. I mean, I still love her as a sister, but I'm not sure if I can handle the stress she brings to my life. Thanks for reading. I can clarify some items if needed, but I'm trying not to get into all the stuff my brother has done. Also, I really don't blame him for any of this. If I won the lottery, I would gladly pay for him to get the help he needs. I know if my parents had actually taken steps to get him help, he would be doing fine right now. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, that's a mess and a half. I think you could create some personal boundaries and avoid participating in your brother's return for your side. But your sister seems like she has made her choice. It may require a bad episode in order for her to end up on the other side of the POV fence regarding your brother. A sad thing is, she is somewhat his only chance at receiving help. If she goes, there is no one there for him. His entire family abandoned him. I guess it's one of those spots where you separate yourself from it and let her make her personal choice. Whatever comes her way, she knew the risks. Comment 2. All your feelings here are justified, but you also can't dictate whether or not she helps him. I get that she wants to help him, and voicing your concerns weren't wrong. I truly hope that neither her nor her baby get caught in one of his manic episodes. If you feel it's better for your mental health to put some real distance between all of them, which I would recommend, then do so. You wouldn't be wrong either. Your parents failed all of you, or at least you and your brother, especially him. But at the end of the day, it's your sister's choice, and you need to do what's best for yourself. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a tense few months since my last post, and I've got a lot to share. I'll try to keep it clear, but bear with me because there's a lot to unpack. So, remember how my sister wanted to move my brother, who had just been in jail for assaulting our dad, to her state? Well, she went through with it. Despite everything I said, she got him a job and a place to stay. I couldn't believe it. I thought after all the chaos he caused, she'd see the danger, but nope. Now, let's rewind a bit. My brother's mental health issues have always been a sore spot in our family. Our parents, who were never keen on the whole parenting gig, especially when it came to dealing with something as complex as mental illness, had a habit of kicking him out and then guiltily letting him back in. This cycle of in and out put a strain on everyone, especially me since I was often home alone with him during my night college classes. Fast forward to the present, and my sister's decision to bring my brother close to her, especially with a newborn in the house, was baffling. I had hoped she learned from our past, but it seemed like wishful thinking. Now for the new bombshell. My brother, who was supposed to be getting his life together, lost the job my sister found for him within a month. And the place to stay? He got kicked out for causing a scene. So where does he go? Straight to my sister's doorstep, of course. I found out about this mess when I got a call from my sister, who was in tears. She was overwhelmed and scared because my brother had shown up and was refusing to leave. Her husband was out of town, and she was alone with the baby. I felt a mix of anger and "I told you so," but I couldn't leave her like that. I drove over, and let me tell you, the confrontation was intense. My brother was there, looking more unhinged than ever, and my sister was just frozen. I managed to calm him down enough to get him to leave, but the damage was done. My sister was shaken, and I was furious. This event opened up old wounds. My sister finally admitted that she had been wrong to bring him here. She apologized, but it was a hollow victory. The trust between us was fractured, and I was left wondering if it could ever be repaired. But wait, there's more. Remember how I mentioned our parents' obsession with their image at church? Well, they got wind of the latest drama and decided to intervene. They called a family meeting, which was more like an ambush. They blamed me for not supporting my sister's decision to help our brother and for the fallout that happened. I was stunned. After all the years of them mishandling my brother's situation, they had the audacity to blame me? I stood my ground, though. I told them that their neglect was the root of all this chaos, not me trying to protect my sister and her child. The meeting ended with no resolution, just more tension. My parents went back to their denial. My sister was a mix of grateful and resentful towards me, and I was just tired. Tired of the drama, the blame, and the constant crisis management. In the aftermath, my brother disappeared again. We don't know where he is now, and I'm worried but also relieved. It's a confusing feeling, wanting to help someone but also needing to protect yourself from them. As for my sister, we're on shaky ground. She's been laying low since the incident, probably embarrassed and reflecting on her choices. I've been giving her space, focusing on my own life and trying to find some semblance of peace. Wife wants her dad to move in with us, but I want to keep the basement as my personal space. Oh boy, she threatens to leave with the kids if her dad can't move in. There's a lot of background here, so I'll try and keep it to what's relevant. Married 10 years, dated 3 before that, we have 2 kids. Her parents are divorced. Her mom comes from a wealthy family, and when her parents got married, her family did a lot of legal and financial stuff and prenups and stuff to keep the money safe. Growing up, her mom was busy a lot and was the primary breadwinner. Her dad really was the one who raised her. He was the one who took her and picked her up from school, who helped her with her homework and went to her shows, plays, games, etc. When she was 12, it turned out her mom had been having an affair, and it led to her parents divorcing. This is where her mom's family's money comes in. They were able to afford very good lawyers, and her money had already been locked up tight, so she wound up with custody, and he left the marriage with not very much to his name. Since he had spent so much time raising her, he had neglected his own career. He struggled after that. My wife has a fraught relationship with her mother. She never really forgave her mother for the affair, the divorce, and her destroying his life. Once she was a teenager, she chose to move in with her dad. So that's a bit of background. She remained close to her dad to this day. He's been an active part of our lives, and he spends a lot of time with our kids, who both love him, but he's been struggling. Infection 19 was really hard for him because he really couldn't work. He fell behind on his bills, and he's been struggling to catch up ever since. He's now about to be evicted. My wife wants him to move in with us. She says it's absolutely unacceptable to her for him to be homeless when we have a basement we can move him into. Thing is, the basement is my space. It's set up to be my retreat, and she now wants to turn it into a bedroom for him. We've been arguing about this because she says she won't allow him to be homeless, and my point is, he won't be homeless. He has a place he can go with his sister, but she lives on the other side of the country. My wife hates that idea. She says she wants him to be a part of her and our kids' lives and not on the other side of the country. He's not a bad guy. I don't hate him or anything. I just want some space for our family. My wife's position is that he is family and he can help with the kids. She's accusing me of caring more about my man cave than the well-being of her father. That's an exaggeration. He isn't going to be homeless. He can move in with his sister. This argument is starting to become pretty ugly now, and she's threatening to take the kids and move out to find a place with him if I won't agree to let him move in here. I resent that threat. I'm starting to wonder if this is really a hill I should die on. On the other hand, I'm shocked and angry that my wife seems ready to throw away our whole marriage over this. Update. I'm going to talk to my wife about getting him an in-law suite in our yard that he can stay in permanently and give up the basement until we can build it. The comments have helped me play out how the most likely scenarios would go. Just so everyone knows whose side you're all taking here. She's a spoiled, rotten princess who grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth. Everything she has was given to her. Between my salary and the trust fund her grandparents left her, she doesn't need to work, but she does anyways and complains she needs her dad's help with the kids. I'm a surgeon, and she's an interior designer. Which one of us contributes more to humanity? She's a shallow, vapid woman who decorates houses while I'm saving lives. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I just want some space for my family. This is a lie. You want the space from your family. You described it as a retreat. She's not endangering your marriage. You are, but you're trying to spin this story to make it look like she's being unreasonable when you're simply upset to be losing your man cave. Let him stay. Build a shed. Comment 2. Why is the basement your space? What is the basement a retreat from? Isn't the whole house a place that you and your family occupy, obviously with some boundaries in place like respective bedrooms? Be ready for the divorce anyway. An irreplaceable basement is more important than a replaceable wife and kids. Am I right? Now for the update. Hey everyone, back with an update on the situation with my wife and her dad needing a place to stay. It's been a chaotic week, and things have taken some unexpected turns. So, after my last post, I decided to talk to my wife about the idea of building an in-law suite in our yard for her dad. I thought it was a good compromise. But before I could even bring it up, she dropped the news on me that I did not see coming. Turns out, my wife has been secretly funneling money from her trust fund to her dad for months to help him with his bills. I only found out because I overheard a phone conversation where she was reassuring him about the money. I was floored. We've always been transparent about our finances, or so I thought. When I confronted her about it, she got defensive and said she didn't tell me because she knew I'd react badly. But that's not even the half of it. I was still processing this when her dad came over to talk. He felt guilty about the whole basement situation and wanted to clear the air. He admitted that he had been offered a job by an old friend, but he turned it down because he didn't want to move away from us and the grandkids. I couldn't believe it. Here I was, trying to find a solution, and he had a way out this whole time. The argument with my wife escalated quickly. She accused me of not caring about her family, and I shot back about her betrayal with the secret money. It was ugly. In the heat of the moment, she confessed that she resented me for always making her feel like her job as an interior designer was less important than my work as a surgeon. She said she felt like I looked down on her, and that's why she wanted her dad around, because he made her feel valued. I was stunned. I never meant to make her feel that way. I've always been proud of her work, even if I didn't show it enough. But the damage was done. She packed a bag for her and the kids and left to stay with her dad at his place for a while. I've been left to reflect on everything that's happened. I realized that my wife's relationship with her dad is more complex than I thought. He was the one who was there for her when her mom's affair tore their family apart. He sacrificed his career for her, and now she feels like it's her turn to take care of him. I also see now that I've been dismissive of her feelings and the importance of her dad in her life. I've been reaching out to her, trying to make amends. I told her I'm willing to have her dad move into the basement temporarily while we figure out a long-term solution. I even suggested family therapy to work through our issues. But here's the kicker. Her dad refused to move in. After seeing the fallout, he decided to take that job offer after all. He apologized for the strain he put on our marriage and said he didn't want to be the reason we fell apart. Wife stops desiring me and I'm considering divorce, but then she reveals the truth. When she told me, I asked how that was supposed to work. She said we would have intimacy every night until she was pregnant. I told her I was in my feelings about that and that I didn't like that idea. We do not have intimacy now, but she said she would make the time each night for a baby. When I get upset over this, I know I will say something wrong. How do I understand where she is coming from? How do I express what is important to me in a way that doesn't just make her feel like I want only intimacy? This is too much for me to have a spontaneous conversation about. Now, instead of giving full stories, I will just try to get to the points. We do not share a bed, haven't slept in the same bed for 3 or 4 years. Last year, she told me she didn't enjoy or want to have intimacy anymore. I reacted poorly at first, but ultimately told her that she is not required to have intimacy with me. I had overstressed it was an important part of just my intimacy. But if she didn't, we wouldn't. She has been told by her doctors she is going into early menopause, so maybe hormones. Since then, we did become sexually active again, maybe 4 months or so ago. I thought things had changed, but I think she was just giving in. Not that I feel like I was directly pressuring her, but I think she feels that way indirectly. Since I've said before, it's important to me. We no longer have any common interests. She doesn't do anything with just us. Even when the kids have a babysitter, it's just getting food, then we get home. She plays a game on her phone or just goes to bed. We do nothing fun together. We have 2 small kids, so most of what we do revolves around them. When I try to do something with just her and I with the kids home, we usually just get interrupted. Also, she has told me before that she doesn't like interrupting the times she spends with the kids. The kids usually go to bed around 10. I've tried to get them to bed earlier, but I don't have support on that. If they go to bed early, she goes to bed too. I'm sure I'm not doing a good job of painting the whole picture. I'm sure I'm doing a good job of painting her in a bad light. She says she loves me, and I believe she means it. But nothing she does shows me that in a way that means something to me. I miss my wife. I miss having a wife. I feel like the only thing we have in common now is our 2 kids and my last name. I've considered divorce. I hate the idea. I would rather work it out and be better for it. I am not happy with her. I know it's better for the kids if we are together. I've considered splitting and fighting for custody of one or both, but I think she's a better parent. I don't mean I'm a deadbeat. I do my best. I don't shirk responsibilities, but it just seems natural to her. I'm just copying what I think she'd do. Speaking of, she is cuddly and sweet and loving to the kids. She used to be that way with me. It just stopped. Gradually, of course. I never can point to when. I know part of the answer is communication, and I want to tell her all these things. But if I tell her everything without a filter, I'm just going to push her away. Here's where I'm at. I want you to be happy, but I just don't care if I'm the one making you happy anymore. And I don't want to feel that way. I've asked for intimacy and ways we can be close, but nothing's changed. Then you tell me that we could have intimacy every night to have another baby. I love the idea of a 3rd kid, but not because of the intimacy. It made me feel cheap and unimportant. I'm not a stag. You know it's important to me, and I know you don't want it. The middle ground is not that. If you don't want intimacy, then we don't have intimacy. But I want a wife again. I don't want to sleep alone anymore, and I don't want to be freaking jealous of the love and attention you give the kids because it's something I never get from you. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You said you know it's better for the kids if you are together. You could not be more wrong. As a child, at the time I was a child of divorced parents who should have divorced much sooner, I can tell you that having 2 separate happy parents is 1,000,000 times better than 2 unhappy parents together. Trust me, they will pick up that things are not all good at some point. It's up to you to protect them from having to go through that by dealing with your issues before it affects them. They understand more than you think. Comment 2. Yeah, don't have a 3rd child now. You gotta fix the relationship first or divorce if not possible. Could she be depressed? Burned out? You know her better than a random Redditor, but it does sound like she just takes care of the kids, then goes to sleep. Have you tried couple therapy? Have you had an honest discussion with her? One thing that helped me was a vacation with the wife without the kids. They stay with grandma for a few days. It helped us find the people we were under all that stress. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a week since I last posted about the situation with my wife and me. I've got to tell you, it's been a ride of emotions, but there have been some pretty unexpected turns. So, after I made that post, I decided to sit down with my wife and have a heart-to-heart. I was nervous, but I knew I had to get everything off my chest. I told her how I felt, how I missed us being a couple, and how the idea of having intimacy just for another baby made me feel used. I didn't hold back, but I also made sure to listen to her side of the story. Turns out she had been feeling overwhelmed with the kids and her own health issues. She admitted that she had been pushing me away because she was scared. Scared of growing older, scared of the changes in her body, and scared that I would leave her because of the early menopause. It was a lot to take in, but it felt good to finally understand where she was coming from. We decided to start therapy together. It was tough at first, digging up all those buried issues, but it was worth it. We learned to communicate better and to be more understanding of each other's needs. It wasn't easy, but we both put in the effort. One of the biggest surprises came when our therapist suggested date nights. At first, I thought it was a cliché, but it actually worked wonders for us. We started slow, just a dinner out once a week while the kids were with a babysitter. But then, one night, we ended up at a dance class. I never knew my wife could salsa, but there she was, laughing and twirling in my arms like we were newlyweds again. It was a jaw-dropping moment for me, seeing her so full of life and joy. The kids started to notice the change too. They loved seeing us happy and even started going to bed earlier on their own, giving us more time together. It was like a chain reaction. Our happiness was spreading through the whole family. But the real test came when my wife brought up the baby topic again. This time it was different. She said she wanted another child, but not at the expense of our relationship. She wanted us to be a team, to do it together because we both wanted it, not just because of some biological clock ticking away. We decided to take it slow, to make sure our relationship was solid before adding another member to the family. And you know what? It was the best decision we ever made. We were intimate again, not just physically, but emotionally too. We shared a bed again, and it wasn't just for intimacy. It was for cuddles, for late night talks, for just being together. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any better, my wife surprised me with a weekend getaway. Just the two of us, no kids, no distractions. It was like we were dating again, exploring a new city, trying new foods, and yes, being intimate. It was the happiest I had been in years. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.